while putting your own basketball skills to the test on the Mystic Lake Sport Court against the one and only Meat Sauce. KFAN.com, keyword events.
I think it's high noon in Maui. That's where we are, the Bumper to Bumper field trip. Day 2 for the trip, day 1 on the air. We're going to do shows from the same location if everything works, and so far, Guardsy's technical skills have been almost flawless.
No, not flawless.
Flawless in terms of keeping us on the air.
Yeah.
Not so much about getting the speakers going here.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll do shows as well. No sermons from here, which that's good. That would
have been a 5 a.m. Yeah, 5 a.m. start time for it.
That's true. That's a very good point. Russo and Laval before we are indeed done. A shout-out we want to mention, though, that I meant to get to earlier, Guardsy.
Well, we have a couple, which I think is funny. We've had a number of people either before the show or during the show come up, whether they're in our group or not, and want to shout out family members that aren't here.
Yes.
So I think it's like...
you think that is to kind of...
Basically remind them. Be like...
It's a taunt, so
to
speak?
Yes, that... Chris
You're there where it's 38 degrees.
Yes.
That's with the temperature in Minneapolis right now, and we're here where it's 80.
Chris and Ryan and Blaine is one of the shout-outs we want to do. So Chris and Ryan, hope you're listening. Sorry you're not here.
And I think I was told Chris is the guy who sent us that brilliant Vikings misery calendar. Remember that?
Is that right?
I mean, that took a lot of research.
It had to have.
He was the guy. Well, yeah.
So
you knew it was going to take a lot of time.
Yeah,
for sure. Given how much misery
so
we've
many
had.
games. Yeah. And the other one before the show, one of the gals on our trip from Albany. There's the Albany 4, I think, is what they call themselves. Carol came up to say hi and said, "Will you please say hi to my brother, Jerry, from Holdingford. He loves you guys."
Oh, okay, good.
I said, do you want me to say, wish you were here? And she said, not really.
Not really, yeah.
Just, I know Jerry's listening right now in Holdingford. So, Carol is having a great time. Does not wish that you were here, however. So, thank you for listening, Jerry. Sounds like you listen a lot.
Well, in all honesty, the sort of social media age in which we live, I think, encourages the notion that taunting is okay. I mean, because let's be honest, a lot of what Facebook is taunting. Look at my life and how wonderful it is compared to your sordid existence. Right? I mean, that's really what
Don't
Facebook
you wish
is.
you were me?
Yeah, and I don't know, is that what Insta is too? Or does Insta try to rise above that?
I think Insta's a little bit, I mean, I bet there's some of that to it, but I haven't found it to be as passive-aggressive as others. Seems like a lot more support
really
on Insta. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
Insta for me is basically I follow all my friends, and it's just pictures of our kids. I'm serious. That's what it is at 35 years old. That's the way I just see how all my friends' kids are doing. I think that's what Facebook kind of used to be.
I saw a tweet yesterday from, there were a couple of rubes who were bitter, claiming that selected media jackals had taken Mike Zimmer out of context in a way that was unfair to Zimmer and also to Case Keenum. And the tweet, the quote was basically the head coach saying, well, the question for us is who's the real Case Keenum? Is it the guy who we had this last year, or is he the guy who played for the Rams? And I went back and I then overnight or this morning tried to look at some of the stories and try to put them in some kind of context. And I think that the critics had a little bit of a point. I mean, it's a little more jarring if you isolate his commentary, Zimmer's commentary on Keenum. But if you read the entire quote, in effect, he's giving the good and the bad in a really unusually direct. Well, I say unusually direct because even though we think Zim's a straight shooter, he goes through many months of not being a straight shooter at all.
Usually the off season,
and doesn't want to leave me alone. I want to go back to my farm. I want to go kill animals. Leave me alone. But in this case, what I think he was kind of doing was sizing it up quite fairly across the board. But if you isolate the one on Keenum, it sounds like, there he goes again. He hates Keenum. Because he basically laid it out on Bradford. It's his knee. I mean, it's a degenerative issue. He was skiing apparently last week, but is he going to be able to hold up? With Teddy, it's been 2 years since he's played. Will that knee hold up? With Keenum, it's he emerged, but is that the real guy? And the last one, he didn't name Cousins, I don't think, but he basically said, well, our defense is awfully good. And we got to be careful that we don't spend so much money that we're not able to keep it together, which was, to me, his way of also attempting to balance the discussion on Cousins.
And he said he's mentioned that to Rick as well in their meetings.
Yes.
That's something.
Who listens to him on everything.
I would think.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Too much, you think?
Every once in a while, Spielman should be allowed to make a decision on his own, stand on his own 2 feet. Don't just hide behind Zim.
The Zimmer thing was interesting, though, the backlash to it, or that people are highlighting it, because it's really that's the question on Case Keenum. That's what everybody's wondered. Well, do we know? Do we know if he really is this good? Did he just catch lightning in a bottle? That's why I think you and I both said, well, let's just find out for $23 million or whatever. Let's franchise him, put him on a 1-year deal, rather than, if you strike out on one of the other guys, rather than give him a big Blake Bortles-like deal or whatever, long-term
even that,
deal.
I'd do that. If it's 3 years, it's that money, because, again, the guaranteed money's not that
That's
different.
true. That might have been that might have been the bridge, but that's the central question. If we just knew Keenum was going to do what he did last year, it's a no-brainer. They probably already would have signed him, right? But
yes,
fair or not to him, he's got a track record. He's got a almost decade-long. Well, he was old when he came into the NFL, but 5-year track record basically in the NFL of saying I'm one person, and then last year he completely flipped. That's what they had to figure out. Is that the aberration, or is that going to be the new rule?
But again, if you think the one quote's highlighted as if the only guy he was that direct about was Keenum, then I could kind of get you going, God, you always are trying to seem to be edgy about him.
About Case.
But in all honesty, he did it with all of them. He basically sized up the good and the bad of each of them. It was part of a larger quote. Now, in a tweet, you don't, even with by the way, are we in expanded Twitterdom now? I don't even know. I mean, are we all in it?
Yeah.
Is it automatic now? Are some people granted that luxury, if you want to call it that, and others have to work for it?
Initially, it was a select few. It was random
happy for them, yeah.
But then I think everybody's got 280 now. Yeah.
So, but I mean, so you can't probably put all of that in the tweet, and that's the most sensational part of it, I guess. But he offered a lot of good and bad on both, or on all the quarterback options. Now, the new theory is that's part of our job of sort of, basically, or part of his job of obfuscation, that they're basically trying to confuse everybody who they might want to confuse. I'm assuming that means other teams. One of our listeners here said there's a report via, I think, Bleacher Report saying the Broncos are emerging more than they had in the past. I don't know how true that is. You're back to, I guess.
And they could afford him in the short term.
They can.
Pretty easily. And there's some people that are leaving them that's going to open up some money as well.
The question is, the unknown is what Cousins is thinking. Does he have a preference? Is he scared off by a team with a 5-11 record? Even though it's, immortality there with John Elway, and the Broncos have a very good track record. They're usually good, not bad. So that's the part I don't know. So at the end of the day, I don't know if you can take from what the head coach said as any sort of hint. I mean, he was a hell of a lot more interesting and expansive than Spielman was the day before, when Spielman said nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we have any feel. Now, Chad Abbott, our programming director, was telling us that I believe with PA, there was some closing comment about, well, I hope I can work with Case again. But I don't know if that's a tell. I mean, you could. That's open ended. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe he's speaking to Case, saying, "We're not going to give you $20 million, but we'll give you 15. We'll give you 17.
Yeah.
We'll give you." Maybe he's trying to use the media to talk to Case. I don't know.
I don't know. Allegedly, it's going to be resolved here fairly quickly, though. Right?
Well, the other thing was it Zimmer or Spielman that said, we'll figure it out before March 12th or something, which is technically when the window.
Today? Today's the 2nd?
Today's March 2nd, so 10 days from now. Hopefully we'll have it all resolved by March 12th, which is before the free agency period opens up.
Yeah.
It's the legal tampering period. March 12th through the 14th, then you can sign guys on the 14th.
It is interesting, though, how day-to-day the story is dictated. The direction the story goes is dictated by whatever the latest report is,
or who talks.
For a couple days it was Vikings and Cousins. It's starting to percolate. Now we haven't heard as much about that. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but there's not as much momentum on that as there was previously. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Keenum's in Maui if he's listening via iHeartRadio. Welcome to stop by Kaanapali Beach Hotel. We're just hanging out today and early next week. There's a lot of players this time of year. That's what they'd be doing, right?
Yeah, they should be.
I mean, I would think.
They should be decompressing.
Yes.
Now, he's from Texas, so I wonder where people, in Texas kind of hang out, because there's, when you're from a geographic area, sometimes
Maui.
You think it's Maui?
Well, any of the islands.
I wonder where he went the week after the title game. Remember, he told us he was going somewhere south. We didn't get to ask him that.
Well, you wouldn't say.
No, but even off the air, or off the record, to know, because if he had a place in Maui, why not bring him over?
I don't know. But it is an interesting story, and there's another item that you reminded me of that the head coach got to regarding the Vikings' decision to block Kevin Stefanski, from pursuing the offensive coordinator job, the New York Giants, that we should get to as well. And actually, we still have time to do it right now.
You can if you want.
He's basically saying, well, I don't get it. I mean, I hung with the staff.
You want the quote?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got. Well, he's doing it he's got they all do roundtables too at the combine, and this is with a lot of the print reporters and a lot of the local guys. So I'm sure you did that back in the day, not at the combine, but when you can get at tables that are in front of us right now at Kaanapali Beach Hotel Tiki Bar, and you just kind of get them. It's not off the record, but it's much more laid back.
It tends to be.
It can be. And so Zimmer said he's a good coach about Kevin Stefanski, and then kind of paused for a second. Should I start on my pet peeve now? I get criticized for blocking guys and stuff like that.
Yes,
but loyalty to me is a big thing, right? So I come in here 4 years ago. Offense is 29, 27, 26, but I keep them. So the first time our offense is pretty good, and I'm supposed to let all my coaches leave. I don't think that's right. If I'm going to be loyal to them and not fire them after they have good years or don't have good years, then I don't think they should not be loyal to me.
Yeah, I don't buy it. It's too convenient. Sorry. I mean, you can make that argument, but I'll say again, and we should again remind people, the Vikings aren't the first team to block. It's legal to do it. The only exception is if the job that someone is applying for or is getting an interview for is head coach. But I would still, to me, I don't know if this is written in the where this is written, in NFL bylaws or what. But to me, one of the exceptions should be, as what we laid out, if you have an opening that he wants, and in this case, offensive coordinator, and you choose to not give him that opening or to give him that job, and someone else wants to, I'd say let him go. You don't have to, because he was under contract to the Vikings for this year. But to me, that's better for everybody. And in fact, I think that comes back in your favor historically as you're putting staffs together and maybe you're trying to woo people, whatever. I don't think this is that complicated. And guess what? He wasn't, like I said, he wasn't loyal to everybody. And he didn't have to be. He wasn't loyal to Norv Turner.
He let go of Jeff Davidson.
And he's been vindicated. I mean, obviously, because the coordinator who followed has, I think, done a better job. I don't know. Again, I mean, the team's in a very different place. I also don't know that. I still am not sure it's all on Norv, as much as everybody wants to vilify him.
Yeah.
But the change, whether it was just a byproduct of that or coincidence, the offense obviously got better. So is Stefanski staying the difference between us adding a couple more points or not? I don't know.
But he could also be the next coordinator when your guy D-Flip inevitably takes the head coaching job.
Well, according to you,
everybody thinks he's going to.
Before the season starts, he's already going to leave.
I'm surprised he didn't go to Indy, when they had their meltdown with McDaniels. But that's what some conspiracy theorists will say, though, is that there's been Kevin.
Just wait.
We know you love Shermer and everything, but we're going to go with D-Flip here, work with him, learn with them. We're going to get a new quarterback in here, figure out what works with him. Everybody, including him, has basically made it sound like he wants to be a short-timer at the offensive coordinator spot. So just bide your time. Continue. That's what some of the conspiracy theorists say.
It is a little hard, I think, to really want to dig into this subject in tropical climes. There's something that seems weird about we're breaking down Vikings quarterback situation. And at the time of year we associate with nice weather at the start of the season, and then fall, and then tsunamis, and we're sitting here and it's 80 degrees and just a nice little breeze off the ocean.
It's a business trip, Dan. We got to do our jobs. You got to fight through it somehow. You have to fight through it and muster up the strength to figure out how to do it.
Would they not have allowed us to do this trip if we had not broadcast from here?
I think it would have been difficult.
Really?
We would have had fewer vacation days. The way I look at it is we got a free week of vacation days out of this deal. We still got all our days left. We haven't taken any. Right?
Have they signed off on that, or are they going to consider this vacation?
We're working.
I know, but
we're doing the show.
It's Chad Abbott.
That's true.
I mean, you don't know how he's going to get.
He's Thibodeau like when it comes to vacation
That's
days.
right.
He's Tibbs like.